Hello, this is Ann Y. You are listening to or watching the Bible reading series. If you have not watched the first episode, please do so for at least the disclaimer. But continuing here, this is the Lord's Prayer, Matthew 6:9-13, King James Version. After this manner, therefore, pray ye, Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. Amen. Just checking my sound over here. Okay. Like I said, or maybe I didn't, but Genesis 30, King James Version. The header here is the sons of Jacob. And when Rachel saw that she bare Jacob no children, Rachel envied her sister, and said unto Jacob, Give me children, or else I die. And Jacob's anger was kindled against Rachel, and he said, Am I in God's stead? Who hath withheld from thee the fruit of the womb? And she said, Behold, my maid Bilhah, go in unto her, and she shall bear upon my knees, that I may also have children by her. And she gave him Bilhah, her handmaid, to wife, and Jacob went in unto her. And Bilhah conceived and bare Jacob a son. And Rachel said, God hath judged me, and hath also heard my voice, and hath given me a son. Therefore called she his name Dan. And Bilhah, Rachel's maid, conceived again and bare Jacob a second son. And Rachel said, With great wrestlings have I wrestled with my sister, and I have prevailed. And she called his name Naphtali. And Leah saw that she had left bearing. She took Zilpah, her maid, and gave her Jacob to wife. And Zilpah, Leah's maid, bare Jacob a son. And Leah said, Troop cometh, and she called his name Gad. And Zilpah, Leah's maid, bare Jacob a second son. And Leah said, Happy am I, for the daughters will call me blessed. And she called his name Asher. And Reuben went in the days of wheat harvest and found mandrakes in the field and brought them unto his mother Leah. Then Rachel said to Leah, Give me, I pray thee, of thy son's mandrakes. And she said unto her, Is it a small matter that thou hast taken my husband? And wouldst thou take away my son's mandrakes also? And Rachel said, Therefore he shall lie with thee tonight for thy son's mandrakes. And Jacob came out of the field in the evening, and Leah went out to meet him, and said, Thou must come in unto me, for surely I have hired thee with my son's mandrakes. And he lay with her that night. And God hearkened unto Leah, and she conceived and bare Jacob the fifth son. Leah said, God hath given me my hire, because I have given my maiden to my husband. And she called his name Issachar. Leah conceived again and bare Jacob the sixth son. Leah said, God hath imbued me with a good dowry. Now will my husband dwell with me, because I have borne him 6 sons. And she called his name Zebulun. And afterwards she bare a daughter, and called her name Dinah. And God remembered Rachel, and God hearkened to her, and opened her womb. She conceived and bare a son, and said, God hath taken away my reproach. She called his name Joseph, and said, The Lord shall add to me another son. Jacob prospers. And it came to pass, when Rachel had borne Joseph, that Jacob said unto Laban, Send me away, that I may go unto mine own place, into my country. Give me my wives and my children, for whom I have served thee, and let me go, for thou knowest my service which I have done thee. And Laban said unto him, I pray thee, I have found favor in thine eyes. Tarry, for I have learned by experience that the Lord hath blessed me for thy sake. And he said, Appoint me thy wages, and I will give it. And he said unto him, Thou knowest how I have served thee, and how thy cattle was with me. For it was little which thou hast before I came, and it is now increased unto a multitude, and the Lord hath blessed thee since my coming. And now when shall I provide for mine own house also? And he said, What shall I give thee? And Jacob said, Thou shalt not give me anything. If thou wilt do this thing for me, I will again feed and keep thy flock. I will pass through all thy flock today, removing from thence all the speckled and spotted cattle, and all the brown cattle among the sheep, and the spotted and speckled among the goats, and of such shall be my hire. So shall my righteousness answer for me in time to come, when it shall come for my hire before thy face. Every one that is not speckled and spotted among the goats, and brown among the sheep, that shall be counted stolen with me. And Laban said, Behold, I would it might be according to thy word. And he removed that day the he-goats that were ring straight and spotted, and all the she-goats that were speckled and spotted, and every one that had some white in it, and all the brown among the sheep, and gave them into the hand of his sons. And he set the day's journey betwixt himself and Jacob fed the rest of Laban's flocks. Jacob took him rods of green poplar and of the hazel and chestnut tree, and pilled white strakes in them, and made the white appear which was in the rods. And he set the rods which he had pilled before the flocks and the gutters and the watering troughs, when the flocks came to drink, that they should conceive when they came to drink. And the flocks conceived before the rods, and brought forth cattle ring-straked, speckled, and spotted. And Jacob did separate the lambs, and set the faces of the flocks toward the ring-straked, and all the brown in the flock of Laban, and he put his own flocks by themselves, and put them not unto Laban's cattle. And it came to pass, whensoever the stronger cattle did conceive, that Jacob laid the rods before the eyes of the cattle in the gutters, that they might conceive among the rods. But when the cattle were feeble, he put them not in, so the feebler were Laban's, and the stronger Jacob's. And the man increased exceedingly, and had much cattle, and maidservants, and menservants, and camels, and asses. Turn my sound down for myself here. Got a little confused there for a second, because my voice in my ears was a little too loud. All right. Two-parter here in this chapter. First part is the sons of Jacob, and the interaction between Rachel and Leah. This one's quite a lot. And then the second half is it's all to do with birthing, but there's an agreement. Jacob says, I want to return to my land. And Laban's like, I'd rather you not, because I'm blessed because you're here. So they make a deal. They strike a deal. And the deal is that Jacob will take from the cattle the speckled and spotted and brown goats and sheep. So we could read that as not perfect, I guess you could say. Maybe I misunderstand that, but in my mind, that would infer that these things are not pure. And then it moves on, and he does this really, really odd thing after the agreement's made, which in the agreement, there's a bit of like Laban's kind of like being wishy-washy about it, but in at least the King James, it doesn't seem to read that way. However, Jacob leaves, and he takes these rods, right, and he places them into this trough of water. This whole thing, even to my old age, which isn't super old, but I can kind of think through some of these things, makes absolutely no sense. However, the way that the way the rabbi read this is that he placed the sticks in such a way in the water that when the female goats and sheep came to the water, it startled them back into the male sheep. And so they were forced to conceive. And in this, we see at the end, and it came to pass whensoever the stronger cattle did conceive, that Jacob laid the rods before the eyes of the cattle in the gutters, and that they might conceive among the rods. So as best as I can see, that's probably the most clear, since that's what they got out of it. But we'll get to the commentary here. And Rachel saw that she had not borne any children to Jacob, and Rachel envied her sister, and she said to Jacob, "Give me children, if not, I am dead." And Rachel envied her sister. She envied her good deeds. I'm assuming this is meaning childbirth. And she said, if she had not been more righteous than I, she would not have merited children. So there is a conceptualization that children are a begetting of someone's righteousness as a woman at that time. I could see that. I guess maybe like in a very practical sense, having children is a very important thing, especially early on in the earth. However, it's even important right now. So I can at least infer for myself that it's a desirable thing. They want to have kids. I don't see how that would be unreasonable. I don't know if I can attribute someone's righteousness directly linked to that act. Maybe a question for God when I, after all of this, but as of right now, I don't see the linkage. However, moving forward, so did your father not do that for your mother? Did he not pray for her? So this is saying that this give me statement here is, will you not pray for me? I'm not reading that, but I'll explain once we get to Jacob's answer about that. She says, I am dead. For here we learn that whoever has no children is counted as dead. This is a moment where I need to breach the topic of this. The concept of being dead here is like someone who is in a dark room. The idiom here and any other time is like a lost person. And I literally mean a lost person in the dark. Like it's not a physical death. It's not an incapability. It's legitimately the person is just wandering aimlessly in darkness. Can't find their bearing, is a better way to look at this. So when someone is referenced to as living is in accordance with someone who is not, that means that person is blundering around in life. And that's what this is saying here. And I know that that's not what it says directly in this sentence here, but it is in the Rabbah that I read. And I wish I could find it really quickly. I might be able to. I don't want to spend too much time trying to find this. I think it's in the... Well, anyways, as I'm looking, the point is, it's not an incapability. That's not when that phrasing is used, it is not a statement of like someone who is incapacitated. That is not the phrasing there. Kind of close here, so let's see. If I can't find it here, then I'll move forward. I might have missed it. 7, 6. Yes. Give me children, and if not, I am dead. Rabbi Yishmael said, 4 are considered as though they were dead: a leper, a blind person, one who has no children, and one who became impoverished. A leper, as it is written, please let her not be like a corpse. A blind person, as it is written, he settled me in darkness like those long dead. One who has no children, as it stated, give me children, if not, I am dead. And one who became impoverished, from where it is derived, it is from the verse, return to Egypt, all the men who seek your life died. Were they dead? Were they not Datan or Evarim? It is rather that they became impoverished. Let's see where that. I'm pretty sure that. Okay, so yeah, in these 3 cases, right, that it's providing. There's a sense of lack of. It's, yeah, not to belabor that point. Okay. Jacob became angry with Rachel, and he said, Am I instead of God, who was withheld from you the fruit of the womb? So Jacob gets mad at her for assuming that he is now God that can open the womb. There's a moment in which the Rabbah speaks of the Lord having 3 keys, and one of those keys is opening the womb for childbirth. Who has withheld from you? You say that I should do as my father did. I am not like my father. My father had no sons at the time he prayed, but I have sons. It is apparent that he has withheld children from you, not from me. Yeah. It's one of those that I'm gonna say possibly. I see this as him being frustrated that she's coming at him accusatory. She's accusing him, and you've given my sister children. Why not me? If not, then I'm lost. I have no. She would essentially become this impoverished person, right? With nothing. So, that's what I'm kind of taking away from it. Could be possibly both of these things, but at the same time, who has withheld from you the fruit of the womb? So I would assume he's laid with his wife. He knew his wife in the vernacular of the Old Testament, and it's not of his deeds, but something that's going on that's in God's hands. So it moves on. So she said, "Here's my maidservant." We've heard this trope before. Bilhah, come to her, and she will bear children on my knees, so that I too will be built up from her. Okay. I have heard that there's a TV show out there that uses this verse in a certain way, in which is very indecent. I'll just leave it at that. The meaning, she will bear children on my knees, it's referring to rearing a child, meaning she will bear the child, and I will take upon it raising it as my own. It has nothing to do with the act of knowing each other and something with knees and other, like, that is not what's going on here. It literally just means she will have the child and I will rear it. So on my knees and I will rear them. So that's what it's meaning. So that I too will be built up. What is the meaning of this too? She said to him, your grandfather Abraham had sons from Hagar, yet he girded his loins. He prayed fervently on Sarah's behalf. He replied, my grandmother brought her rival into her house. She said, if this matter is holding things up, prevents me from having children, here is my maidservant. Yeah. So once again, it's this implication of righteousness, if I'm not mistaken. It's not said here, but it's kind of like implied. So that I too will be built up from her, like Sarah. Moving on, Rachel said, God has judged me, and he has also hearkened to my voice and has given me a son. So she named him Dan. Dan is a very interesting character through biblical scripture, but God has judged me. He judged me, declared me guilty, and then declared me innocent. This is a very interesting line because maybe I'm being a little too literal. She still hasn't given birth. Like this is some other individual's child. So it's very this whole thing is kind of outside of my cultural wheelhouse, to be completely honest. So I'm kind of trying to understand, but at the same time, there's some pieces that are missed, and I would assume it's probably something along to do with the Hammurabi code and how one could have a maidservant, and possibly there's another thing that I'm not seeing that could be later on in scripture, but that's neither here nor there. And Rachel said, with divine bonds I have been joined to my sister. I have also prevailed. So she named him Naphtali. Divine bonds. Menachem ben Suruk classified it in the grouping of Numbers 19:15, a cover bond with bonds from the omnipresent. I have joined my sister to my married children, but I interpret as an expression of perverse, crooked. Yeah, whatever's happening here isn't. I have a hard time. Maybe I'm imparting my own bias and what. Anything. Anyways. So one of the other ways of looking this at is not this bonding piece, but it's an expression. This is not good, is what I'm trying to say. Even though it is written as such. I have also prevailed. He yielded to my importunities. Onkelos, however, rendered it as an expression of prayer. Requests beloved to him were accepted on my behalf, and I was answered like my sister. So there's another way of seeing this, is it's a prayer to the Lord. means prayer was accepted. There are many Agadic midrashim that interpret this phrase with the method of Nadarachan. Each group of letters represents a word. I mean, maybe I'm thinking of that a little too literally, but so there's some things that are going on in this that are above my understanding, at least culturally. Not to keep on, leaning on that. I did try to read everything and understand it, but in Zilpah, Leah's maidservant bore Jacob a son. So now we have Leah, Bilhah, and Zilpah have born children. In the case of all of them, all Jacob's wives' conception is mentioned except for Zilpah because she was the youngest of them all, and so young in years that her pregnancy was not noticed. In order to deceive Jacob, Laban gave her to Leah so that she would not perceive that they were bringing in Leah, for this was their custom to give the older maidservant to the older daughter and the younger maidservant to the younger daughter. Yeah, I have a hard time with this one. Not because I'm not even going to go into the years part. I think that this is still basing some things that are going on during the night in which Jacob knew Leah, and the lie of Laban that I guess I don't bring myself to agree with. So I just think that this right here, Zilpah, wasn't named last in this because of her age. I think it was just a sequence of events. And Leah said, luck has come, so she named him Gad. Luck has come, so good luck has come, similar to my fate be lucky and not fatigued, and similar to this, who set a table for Gad, according to the Agadah, he was born circumcised, or cut off, and Dan 4:11 cut down the tree, but I do not know why it is written on as one word in our verse. Another explanation is, why is it read as one word? You betrayed me when you came to my handmaiden, as a man who has betrayed the wife of his youth. Lots of cultural things that could be said here. This luck has come, I think, is an explanation or expression of excitement, because Gad is kind of like a troop. A large grouping of people that are coming. Like, the name, I think, is inferring that there will be a large group of people that come from Gad. Anyways, Reuben went in the days of the wheat harvest and found Dudaim in the field and brought them to Leah, his mother. And Rachel said to Leah, now give me some of your sons' Dudaim. Now, in the two, this is actually... This is jasmine. This word here is an herb, basically, but it's called mandrake in the King James, but it's also called mandrake in the Rabbah as well. So something along the lines of, this thing was not stolen. I know that that's not what's read here, but the point is days of the wheat harvest, and barley is picked before wheat harvest, and so therefore him not picking wheat, if this was anything else, it's not stealing. That's what's going on here, in my understanding. So in the days of the wheat harvest, this is to tell the praise of the progenitors of the tribe. It was harvest time, and he did not stretch out his hand upon stolen property to bring wheat or barley, but only upon an ownerless thing which no one cares about. There's also that this thing is a flower of some sort, and it gives off good humors, good smells. Was a way that it was read. And then moving on, she said to her, "Is it a small matter that you have taken my husband, that you wish also to take my son's Dudaim?" So Rachel said, "Therefore he shall sleep with you tonight as a payment for your son's flowers," basically. And so, that you wish also to take my son's flowers. This is a question, and this may not actually be flowers. It could be some type of root as well, like a a tuber type thing. This is a question, and do you wish to do this also, to take also my son's dudaim? The targum for this is to take. Therefore, he shall sleep with you tonight. So there's an exchange that's made. One of the points of this that's made consistently is that because she does this, that she is not buried with her husband. I guess there's some significance being buried with the individual that you loved, especially when it came to these three the three fathers of the Abrahamic faiths, I should say. So she traded for this opportunity. Well, what does this lead us to? Leah meets Jacob in the field. So I have hired you. I gave Rachel her payment. On that night, the Holy One, blessed be He, insisted that Issachar should be born from that union. So here, from here we see a moment that Leah actually is praying for Rachel. It doesn't say this strictly, but it says here, and God hearkened to Leah, and she conceived and bore Jacob a fifth son. So here it says, God hearkened to Leah that she desired and was seeking means to increase the numbers of the tribe. They said, God has given my reward, for I have given my maidservant to my husband. So she named him Issachar. And Leah conceived again, and she bore Jacob a sixth son. So there's a deal made that she will give her sons, whatever this is, this non-stolen thing, to Rachel for the exchange of laying with her to have another child. And God blesses her in this. Leah said, God has given me my reward, for I have given my maidservant to my husband. And then she conceived again. And Leah said, God has given me a good portion. This time my husband will live with me, for I have borne him 6 sons. So she named him Zebulun. And a good portion, according to its Aramaic translation, will live with me, an expression of dwelling place, lodging, abode, home. From now on, his principal dwelling will be only with me, because I have as many sons as all his other wives have. I guess there's this maybe reasonable to assume that, Jacob will look on her favorably because she's given him the most sons, is one thing. And afterwards she bore a daughter, and she named him Dinah. Our sages explain that Leah pronounced judgment upon herself. She reasoned, if this is a male, my sister Rachel will not be esteemed even as one of the handmaids. So she prayed over him, and he was turned into a female. Yeah, pretty extreme. Genetically possible, I guess, because I don't know, that this is an odd one for me. I think that this is being a little bit more mystical than I can extend myself for. If there's the righteousness thing and the bearing of children portion that's actually going on, if that is a thing, then maybe God was seeing the distraughtness of Rachel. However, this is what is explained. And God remembered Rachel, and God hearkened to her, and he opened her womb. So finally, he remembered for her that she gave over her sons to her sister, and that she was troubled lest she fall into Esav's lot. Perhaps Jacob would divorce her because she had no children. The wicked Esav also got that idea when he heard that she had no children. This is what the Patan incorporated into his poem for the first day of Rosh Hashanah. And when the ruddy one, Esav, saw that she, Rachel, had not experienced birth pangs, he wished to take her for himself, and she was terrified. I did read this. It's There may have been fear of her being divorced now from Jacob, and then there could have been the possibility that his brother would have picked her up. But I think this is the most important part, is God remembering his mercy towards Rachel is the primary import here. And she conceived and bore a son, and she said, God has taken away my reproach. So see, he is now merciful. He opened her womb and all of this, and she conceived and bore a son, and she said, God has taken away my reproach. So he has essentially forgiven in modern terms. He took it into a place where it would not be seen, similarly taken away. I will not be taken away in the house, have withdrawn their shining. Shall your moon be gathered in, meaning it will not be hidden. So, yeah, all of this is in reference. I know it says meaning it will not be hidden, but it also says that it's going to be taken into a place that it won't be seen. That's because this shining will not be hidden, in whatever it is going to be taken into a place of not being seen. So either way that you look at it, it's an expression of God's mercy towards her, and whatever happened between him and her. If that is the case, which would be assumed by the word reproach. So she named him Joseph, saying, may the Lord grant me yet another son. So she's desiring to have another son. May the Lord grant me yet another son. She knew that through prophecy that Jacob was destined to establish only 12 tribes. She said, may it be his will that the one he is destined to establish be from me. Therefore she prayed only for another son and no more. This is conceptually probably, for me, if she's being honorable, would be, may I please have one more, in a request of God, like if this was like a prayer. So, and it came to pass when Rachel had borne Joseph that Jacob said to Laban, send me away and I'll go to my place, to my land. So here it's changing stories slightly. I think Jacob has finally, he's established himself and he wants to return home, back to Canaan, which is a desirable thing with that cultural approach, is to return to the land. Because he is currently in the land of idols, or idol worship. When Rachel had borne Joseph, when the adversary Esau was born, as it is said in Obadiah 1:18, in the house of Jacob shall be fire, in the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Esau shall become stubble. Fire without a flame does not burn anything distance away. As soon as Joseph was born, Jacob trusted in the Holy One, blessed be he, and desired to return to Canaan. Yeah, a very long roundabout way to basically say that I think he became established and he was like, I think it is time to return home. He had spent enough time away that he could return, and his brother's anger would be subsided. I think that's a little bit more reasonable in my mind, but give me my wives and my children, for whom I work for you, and I will go, for you know my work, which I have worked for you. Interesting that he's even saying to give me my wives, because in our Western concept, we kind of like leave our families completely and like start a family way off in the distance. Sometimes, maybe down the road, but a lot of the times, in at least American culture, we leave our families behind, kind of, not in a rude way, like we still care for them, but like physically. Which it's strange here. And Laban said to him, if only I have now found favor in your eyes, I have divined, and the Lord has blessed me for your sake. I have divined. He was diviner. He said, I ascertained with my divination that a blessing came to me through you. When you came here, I had no sons, as it is said. Behold, his daughter Rachel is coming with the sheep. Is it possible that he has sons, yet sends his daughter along with the shepherds? Now, however, he had sons, as it is said, and he heard the words of Laban's sons. Okay. All of this to say, there are two views on this that I could read. This I have divined can be either read as divining, like a magic spell per se, but then there's also people that disagree with that, and they say no, he was looking through time, and he came to an understanding, is what this is meaning. So either way, I mean, if we were to really lay heavily on the concept that he's this idol worshiper, evil individual, which I believe that later on there's some idols that are taken and some things that happen, and he's not the most honest individual throughout the stories. But what he's saying here is, will you please stay? You've blessed me by staying here. Will you continue to stay here? He's maybe being a little bit selfish. And then he said, specify your wages for me and I will give them. So he's saying, I'll pay you to stay. He said to him, you know how I have worked for you. This is Jacob in response. You know how I have worked for you and how your livestock was with me, and how your livestock was with me. The small amount of your livestock that came into my hands, how many were they? So he's kind of asking, like, well, what happened? And so, for the little that you have had before me has increased in multitude, and the Lord blessed you upon my arrival. But now, when will I too provide something for my household? So he's like, I would like to go on and provide for my own. I don't want to be under your, what was it? The beam of your house. Upon my arrival, literally to my foot, with my foot, because of the arrival of my foot, the blessing came to you, the people that follow you, to the people that follow me, who come with me. When will I too provide something for my household, for the needs of my household? Now only my children work for my needs, and I too must work with them to assist them. This is the meaning of two. Yeah, so two pieces here. The one, I'll hit the latter first because it's a little simpler. He just wants to go and be his own man, I guess you could say, or his own father. However, this other one, I'm going to re-hit this because it's a theme that keeps on coming back up. His being there has blessed Laban, which is a common trope. And I kind of want to turn this time, as I speak about it, as if we're in the presence of the Lord, people are blessed by our presence in the Lord, but we are blessed by being in the presence of the Lord. So it's kind of like an image of if Jacob was a representation of God and we were Laban, then us being near God is going to be a blessing to us. And therefore, if we're in that presence and somebody else is near us, then therefore they're going to be blessed too. It's the overarching thought there in my understanding. I know that seems very simple, but I think we can really have that as a practical theme in our lives, is making sure that the people that we surround ourselves with are towards God and also ourselves, so that we can bless other people. I will pass through. So here we are. He's made his deal. He's going to pass through the flock today, removing them, each kind that he specifies. So speckled, spotted with small patches like dots, spotted, an expression of patches, wide spots, brown, somewhat reddish. And this shall be my wages. So he's making his statement of, this is what I'm owed. Those that will be born from now on, speckled or spotted among the goats or brown among the sheep, shall be mine. Those that are here now, separate from them and entrust them with your sons, so that you do not say to me concerning those born from now on, these were there from the beginning, and furthermore, so that you should not say to me, through the males that are speckled and spotted, the females will give birth to similar animals from now on. So here's that Laban not being a very honest person, so he is setting it up so that he can't say to him later on, oh, no, these were mine. So he's separating the flock with intent. And my righteousness will testify for me at a future date, for it will come upon my wages before you. Whatever is not speckled or spotted among the goats or brown among the sheep shall be counted as stolen with me. And and my righteousness will testify for me. If you suspect me of taking anything of yours, my righteousness will testify for me. My righteousness will come and testify about my wages for you, that you will find in my flock only speckled and spotted ones. Whatever you find among them that is not speckled or spotted or brown, I have obviously stolen from you, and only through theft is it in my possession. So he splits the flock. He takes what he says, the spotted and all the blemished ones. He gives him the perfect ones, which there could probably be a whole thing talked about with that. So that later on, Laban can't say, oh, well, this one's obviously mine, because, if he just left it as that, then he could have said, oh, well, you didn't have a count of how many were spotted or speckled from the beginning. So this leaves him without question. Very well, an expression denoting the acceptance of terms. So Laban accepts the terms. If only it would be as you say. If only you would want this. And he removed on that day the ringed and spotted. So he continued. He splits the herd, or the flock. Laban removed on that day the male goats. So Laban's doing it in this understanding, not Jacob. Whichever had white on it, whichever had white patches on it, and Laban gave them into the hands of his sons, to Jacob and his children. And he set 3 days' journey between himself and Jacob tended Laban's remaining animals. Laban's remaining animals, the weakest among them, the sick and the barren, which are only leftovers, he gave over to him. Jacob took himself moist rods of trembling poplar and hazelnut and chestnut, and he peeled white streaks upon them, bearing the white that was on the rods. Rods of trembling poplar. This is a tree under oaks and trembling poplars, and I believe that is the one called trindle in Old French, trembling poplar and aspen. So out here in the West, we have quakies is a common term for it, and it means that their leaves in the wind flutter a lot. So I assume that that's what he's talking about. Something similar. Moist, when it was moist. So green. It wasn't like old sticks, dry sticks. It was green. I assume he probably took them from the trees. And hazelnut, and he took also a rod of a tree upon which small nuts grow. And chestnuts, in Old French, chestnut streaks, many peelings, for it made it spotted, bearing the white. When he peeled it, its white appeared and was bared in the place where it was peeled. And he thrust the rods that he had peeled into the gutters and the waterings troughs, where the animals would come to drink, opposite the other animals, and they would come into heat when they came to drink. He thrust, an Aramaic term denoting thrusting and sticking. Putting them into the ground, into the gutters where the water was running, in the pools made in the ground in which to water the flocks. Where it would come, in the gutters where the animals would come to drink, he thrust the rods opposite the animals, and they would come into heat. The animal would see the rods, and she would be startled backwards. Then the male would mount her, and she would give birth to offspring similar to him. The water would become sperm. This one, I'm just going to... Yeah, so this is a bit mystical. The water, apparently, itself became the thing that the lambs and goats were actually impregnated by instead of the other goats. But once again, a little bit mystical for me. And the flocks came into heat by the rods, and the animals bore ringed, spotted, and striped young by the rods of the side of the rods. Ringed, unusual in the place where they are bound. Those are the joints of their forelegs and hind legs. And Jacob separated the sheep, and he turned the faces of the animals toward the ringed ones and every brown one among Laban's animals, and he made himself flocks by himself, and he did not place them with Laban's animals. And Jacob separated the sheep. Those born ringed or speckled he divided and separated for himself, and he made them in formation of each flock separately, and he led the ringed flock ahead of the ordinary animals, and the faces of the animals followed them, gazed at them. This is what the scripture says further. And he turned the faces of the animals towards the ringed ones, that the faces of the animals were directed toward the ringed ones and toward every brown one that he found in Laban's flocks. So he's orienting the flocks in such a way that he's kind of getting what he wants out of the flocks, and he made himself flocks, as explained. That were bearing first, according to the Targum, those who were giving birth to their first. But for this interpretation, there is no evidence in the scripture. However, associated it with 2 Samuel 15:31, Ahithophel is among the conspirators, and the conspiracy was strong. Those who bind themselves together to hasten their conception. Yeah, it's a bit obvious. There's what I'm getting out of this is that Jacob is ordering these things in such a manner in which he's getting what he wants out of the flock, so that he leaves with the most that he could. But if the animals would delay, he would not place them, so that the ones that delayed were Laban's, and the ones that bore their first became Jacob's. So he's separating them by characteristic, not just by look. But if would delay, the tunics and the wraps, a term denoting a wrap, meaning that they were enwrapped themselves in their skin and their wool, and they did not desire to come into heat through the males. Yeah, I think it's just he noticed that there were ones that did not want to mate. The man became exceedingly wealthy, and he had prolific animals, the maidservants and manservants, and camels and donkeys. So prolific animals, they were fruitful and multiplied more than other animals. And maidservants and manservants, he would sell his animals at a high price and purchase all of these for himself. So we see, through the tenacity of Jacob, working the land, caring for the animals, doing his due diligence, because if I'm not mistaken, Laban has just walked off from the area. He's no longer with them, which is kind of like another theme is you never leave somebody out tending your fields on their own. You go with them is kind of the concept. If I'm not mistaken, that's a bit on like this. Yeah, there's a like an honor concept on that, but I won't belabor that. Hopefully this was good. I had to kind of like jump over a few things, but for the most part, I hope that was insightful. And I thank you so much for sticking to the end, and hope to see you next time.